For being such an iconic character, Princess Peach has only ever had one solo outing. Well, I suppose technically she has had two. The first being an LCD game watch called Princess Toadstool's Castle Run. This little POS was one of 3 game watches that McDonald's gave out in 1990. I don't count this as a Peach game though. The game I do count is Super Princess Peach for the Nintendo DS. Developed by Toze, who have worked on a number of Resident Evil games, Super Princess Peach was released in Japan in 2005, then a year later in the States. It sold incredibly well, evident by its spot as the 48th best-selling DS game of all time. Despite this though, the game has been doomed to obscurity. It has yet to be ported to any other consoles, meaning that if you want to play this, you'll either have to dust off your 20-year-old DS or emulate it. Initial reception of Super Princess Peach was mostly positive, with some sour apples critiquing the game for its easy difficulty and short playtime. While these are fair critiques, I personally don't think they affect the overall quality of the game. I don't really care if a game is short as long as it's fun to play, and not every platformer needs to be as hard as Celeste in order to be fun. No, my dear viewer, my critiques are far more nuanced than that. We'll get to them in due time, but first you'll need some context on the story. Not too far away from the Mushroom Kingdom is Vibe Island. This island holds a great treasure known as the Vibe Scepter, which allows whoever wields it supreme control over the emotions of others as well as their own. Seeking this power, Bowser builds a summer getaway home on Vibe Island. After a Hammer Bro finds the scepter, Bowser entrusts the item to a Goomba with the aim of capturing Mario and Luigi. The Goomba, accompanied by a number of other Mario enemies, takes the scepter to Princess Peach's castle. In an epic raid, they successfully capture Mario, Luigi, and a number of Toads. Shortly after returning from their mission, the Goomba loses control of the scepter, causing Bowser and all his minions to lose control of their emotions. Meanwhile, Peach has returned to her castle after going for a walk to find all the residents of her kingdom in emotional disarray. Naturally, Peach gets pretty pissed off and sets off on her journey to save her friends and her kingdom. Before leaving, Toadsworth gives Peach a sentient paracel named Perry to accompany her. Perry has some backstory that is drip-fed to you after defeating each boss, but truthfully, Perry is pretty forgettable. His only other appearances outside of Super Princess Peach are as a trophy in Super Smash Bros. Brawl and as a spirit in Ultimate. With Perry in Peach's hand, the duo heads over to Vibe Island, and their adventure begins. I'm a big fan of this setup. I love the reverse damsel in distress thing they have going on here. It's a very empowering story element that helps depict Peach as the badass queen she is. Alright, so without further ado, let's jump into the meat of the gameplay. Area 1, otherwise known as Ladida Plains, is your generic grassy first area in a platforming game. While running around, you can use Peach's emotions to complement your movement or find secrets such as hidden toads, music tracks, or puzzle pieces. Peach is able to control her emotions in such a manner because the Vibe Scepter has enhanced the emotions of all living beings on the island. Peach has 4 emotion powers: Joy, Rage, Gloom, and Calm. Joy makes Peach sing with glee as she floats through the air. This ability does break the difficulty of some platforming, so use it at your own discretion. Rage engulfs Peach in flames. With this ability, you can burn bridges, fly a hot air balloon, and melt ice among other things. Gloom makes Peach cry out streams of tears, which you can use to water plants or make a platform icy. The final emotion, Calm, allows Peach to gain back health. The meter in the corner of the screen depicts how long you can use these abilities. It is refilled by collecting some of Walter's blue meth.
They're rocks, Hank!
No, they're minerals. Jesus, Marie, I got some geodes coming that are very delicate, all right?
Or by feeding enemies to Perry. When using these abilities, the bottom screen will depict Peach in her different states of emotion. I really like this. It's super cute, and the attention to detail is great, especially for a secondary screen that you barely look at. There are even a handful of other animations for Peach getting hit, finding secrets, and completing a level. The other moves available at Peach's disposal are a melee attack, a slide attack, a ground pound, a projectile, and the classic hover jump that has always been a staple of her character. Peach can also throw items in addition to feeding them to parry. Some of these moves are locked behind an item shop, but you can buy all the abilities pretty early on. The coins you collect in levels count as your currency, so there is actual reason to turn around and grab that last coin. After completing 5 levels, you get to fight the boss in the 6th level. This is universal for all areas in the game. Oh, and while we're looking at this level select screen, I should comment that it sucks. I did have the thought of, oh, it's a DS game, so maybe it gets a pass, but then again, the new Super Mario entries on the DS had a great level select screen, so hardware capabilities definitely is not a result of this. The boss of Ladida Plains is PD Piranha, and you defeat him in the same manner as you do in Mario Sunshine. Once PD is defeated, Peach and Perry take some time to relax near a bonfire, while Perry begins dreaming about his past. Compiling all the info we get after defeating each boss, we learn that Perry was a boy with special powers who was transformed into an umbrella. As an umbrella, he was sold off to Toadsworth, who held on to him until his call to adventure with Peach transpired. Again, Perry is a pretty lame character, and this is all we learn about him throughout the course of the game. Peach doesn't even take the time to try and return him to his natural state, so I guess even Peach doesn't care for Perry. Area 2 is Who's Wood. I'll give you 3 guesses as to what the boss of this area is. These levels are forest themed, and just like the first area, it's a pretty generic locale for a platformer. Unfortunately, I can say the same for the rest of the areas in the game. I think it would have been cool if each area was strictly themed around an emotion, since, you know, we are on Vibe Island, but whatever. At the end of Who's Woods, we meet the titular Who, a giant owl that will swoop down and attack you after throwing some of his eggs at you. This boss has 2 phases, which took me pleasantly by surprise. In the first stage, you battle Who on the ground, and in the second, Who destroys the platform you were standing on to initiate an in-air battle. Area 3, called Shriek Mansion, takes the haunted levels in the Mario games and blows it up into its own section. I'm always down for anything horror related, but they wasted an opportunity not dispersing haunted levels in other areas of the game. Designating them all to one area was a mistake. It would have been way better if there was a haunted level in each area with all the new platforming mechanics that were introduced. At the end of Shriek Mansion, you fight King Boo. Lighting all the candles in the room with your rage ability is the key to defeating him. It's a bit of a lackluster fight, but it's always neat to see King Boo. Moving on to Area 4, otherwise known as Fury Volcano, these levels are lava themed. Fury Volcano, I would argue, has the best music out of all the areas. Take a listen. The final boss of this area is Wiggler. Similar to Mario Sunshine again, in order to defeat the Wiggler, you have to knock him over, then jump on a specific part of him. Area 5 is Wavy Beach. Typically in platformers, the beach areas are my favorite. Something about running around water and seeing aquatic enemies does something for me. Not in this game though. Wavy Beach is yet another generic area filled with generic enemies. The boss of Wavy Beach is Gooper Blooper. Man, they really love taking bosses from Mario Sunshine. In both games you can jump on his attacking tentacles, but only in Sunshine do you get to smack him in the face with his own lips. Gleam Glacier follows Wavy Beach, and it's the iced theme area of the game. Notable takeaways from this area are the snowman you can destroy. Oh, and the boss is a dragon who turns into a fairy halfway through the fight. It's a weird boss, but at least he has a cool name, Blizzaris. Area 7, or Giddy Sky, has these little balloon guys you can jump on. These little guys are dope, but what's not dope is this area. There were a lot of whack platforming segments where shit would just randomly hit you and send you falling down a pit. The Glee ability can save you in these scenarios, but because I was emulating this game to capture footage, it was often hard to get said ability off in time. Every time I used an emotion, I would have to take my hand off my controller and use my mouse to imitate the stylus on the DS screen. Unless you want to record footage of this game like me, you should play this game on the DS. Giddy Sky concludes with a battle with Kamek, who has Luigi captured. After defeating the Wizard Supreme, Peach grabs Luigi, swings him around, and then throws him away like the garbage he is. The final area of the game is Bowser's Villa, and hands down it has to be the best area of the game. There are these robot claws that swing in at you on opposite sides of the screen, this swamp dude who will eat you if you aren't careful, and these swinging spiky balls which look pretty cool. The final boss at Bowser's Villa will be locked until all toads in the game are found. Toads, as I've mentioned earlier, are one of the collectibles you can find in a level. There are 3 per level, and they are relatively easy to find. Odds are you will have the majority of them already when you reach this point in the game. The final boss stage has 3 phases. The first phase is against the Hammer Bro who found the scepter for Bowser. He gets powered up by the scepter, then you have to chase him down this long corridor while he summons other Hammer Bros. This part was sick. I really enjoyed it. It's a unique and memorable fight. It's just a shame it took 8 whole areas for a boss to be this fun. Phase 2 is against the big man himself. Bowser has a number of moves at his disposal, making this fight rather fun to complete as well. Once he is defeated in Phase 2, he grows massive in size for the final phase. You'll need to throw bombs onto Bowser's face to damage him in this form. If he is brought down to 1 health, he will attempt to use the scepter to regain health. And yes, this phase is pretty cool too. Once defeated, you send Bowser into space with a solid golf swing. Peach must have been playing The Last of Us 2 on her journey. With Bowser defeated, Peach rushes towards Mario, knocking Luigi onto the filthy ground where he belongs. The Mushroom Kingdom is once again safe. As a bonus for completing the game, Peach gains the ability to use a rapid melee attack. While it is nice to receive something for completing the game, there is a little incentive to replay any levels. The only collectibles left are music tracks and puzzle pieces, which I could care less for. My overall playtime of Super Princess Peach was around 7 or 8 hours, but it's very possible to beat it faster than that. I took my time getting footage for this video, so an hour or 2 of my playtime was messing around. Outside of the final boss stage, I would be hard pressed to say there were any other memorable levels in the game. They were all super simple, and something you could experience in a number of other platformers. With that being said, if I were playing this game at launch, I may have thought differently about this. Back then, we didn't have a portable console like the Switch, so playing Super Princess Peach while traveling would have been great, especially when you consider the copious amount of shovelware games the DS had. Outside of the main game, there are a couple of mini games to eat away at an hour. None of them are all that fun. The soundtrack of Super Princess Peach was composed by Akira Fujiwara, who prior to this worked on the Metroid Fusion soundtrack. Fujiwara's work with Metroid Fusion is solid, something that cannot really be said for Super Princess Peach. The vast majority of the music in Peach are serviceable beeps and boops loosely related to the theme of an area. Take a listen to Welcome to Ladida Plains. Is that not the most generic song you have ever heard? All the songs are like this, it's mind-numbing. I can't believe the ball was fumbled so badly for Peach's only game. Normally when characters from the Mario universe branch out on their own, they get incredible soundtracks. I wish Peach got the same treatment. Peach is my girl, she's my go-to Mario Party character, she deserved so much better. For the sake of giving credit where credit is due though, here's a quick snippet from the songs I did like. The best part of this game for me was seeing all the pixelated renditions of classic Mario characters. It made me nostalgic for a time when Nintendo was still releasing games with pixel art. Peach's sprite is perfect. There are little animations for everything she does, including an idle one. Her idle animation has a fun little secret too. While in it, Peach will regain her meter. Bowser's sprite design is really well done too, especially in his final Gigantamax form. I love how his eyes track you, and how they turn all red when he uses his flame breath attack. There's not a ton of new enemies introduced in this game, but there are a couple new variants of them. My favorite has to be this horde of blindfolded boos. Level environments are rather bland. I've already touched on this a bit, but it's worth repeating because having bland environments in a platformer is a sin. About the only interesting design in a level came from the background, but even that was hit or miss. This sucks because half the charm of platformers comes from the wacky places you end up exploring. All in all, Super Princess Peach provided me with a middling experience. I wouldn't recommend anybody play it unless they have an affinity for Peach like I do. With that being said, I'm not opposed to the idea of a sequel or some spiritual successor to be made for the Switch. I'm doubtful that will happen, although it is strange that we haven't seen any other Peach projects with how well this game sold. That's about all I got today, folks. Hope you enjoyed the video. Be sure to look out for more projects from Cam and I, and please let me know what you think about Super Princess Peach down in the comments. Do you have any fond memories of this game back in the day? Did returning to the game ruin your nostalgia for it? Let me know. Anyways, thanks for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.